No, I won't do it. You have to.
Ooh. And welcome back. That's enough. Welcome back. And today we have a special with the amazingly looking hotshot actor Anton Baumgartner. You know him from such classics as Arm or Untitled, written and directed by me, where he has an iconic scene with Amro El-Tetawi, the director of Unicorn House, where
he kicked his ass.
Yes, he kicked his ass, and especially because he moved the lens in his eye back into his head with his thumb. It's an iconic thumb. Show it to the audience, and then we'll start immediately with Thomas G. Spot and his controversial list of horror movies. Apparently, some newspaper, published a list of the 100 greatest horror movies of all time. Tom, let's introduce the list, and then we are going to talk about this list.
Let's get serious about horror movies.
This list was published by Variety. I'm sure most of you have already seen it or heard about it. It had some quite controversial picks, but at 100 they have Repulsion.
Oh, I love that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Roman Polanski, and yes, great shots of hands coming through the wall, and he did it by picking condoms on the wall, and then people were sticking their hands through those condoms. And the movie is also about sexual violence, repression, and childhood trauma. It's very Twin Peaks-esque almost, I would say, and pretty expressive, black and white. He directed it together with a softcore porn production company or something, but it's a great movie. Roman Polanski is, of course, a very evil individual, but Tom, what do you say?
I also really like the film. I've only seen it once, but I really like it. And number 99, another film I really like is Suspiria by Dario Argento. Absolute classic, great colors, great cinematography. Any thoughts, or should I move on?
I like it also equally as well, probably. Even though there's a lot of exposition, a little bit too much, it could be more surreal. But whatever, it's great. I like it.
Yeah, it's Freiburg never looked better on film, even if it wasn't shot in Freiburg or in the Black Forest, I think. Yeah.
Then we come to a film that I've never even heard of. It's called The Devil's Backbone.
Fantastic. A masterpiece for me. That's my favorite Guillermo del Toro. I think this movie is better than Pan's Labyrinth, and he did it first. It's like the movie he shot before Pan's Labyrinth, and I think it's a lot better. I think it's a masterpiece. It's on Criterion Collection, and you should buy and or watch it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, then next up, The Haunting.
Fantastic. You mean the old one, right? This black and white thing.
By whom?
Absolutely a fantastic movie. I've watched it recently, and I think it was a great inspiration probably for the first season of American Horror Story. So if you know that, you'll probably really enjoy The Haunting. I think it is, a super interesting horror classic masterpiece.
I've only seen the first season of American Horror Story and not any other season, and that one wasn't all that great, so...
Okay.
A bad pick by Variety.
It's a bad pick, you heard it here first.
Yes, it's rubbish. The Haunting fucking sucks. I haven't seen it. It's a bad film.
I love American Horror Story first season, actually.
Okay.
I really loved that one.
I mean, it had moments, but the second part, I think, of the season was very, very weak. Starts okay.
I think it's almost as good as Twin Peaks, and the second season of Twin Peaks is worse than that.
Okay, anyways, we have 100 films to get to. We can't talk about everyone this long. Number 96 is the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake from 78, which I personally don't like that much. Philip, fantastic.
Fantastic. It's you have a fucking cameo of Robert Duvall sitting. He's dressed up like a priest, and he's like playing with kids, and he's in that movie for like 5 seconds.
That was my. I haven't seen the movie, but I know that one image of Donald Sutherland.
Okay,
So yeah,
Let's do it together while Tom introduces the next movie.
The next movie is actually great. It's Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive by Peter Jackson, which is a film I really actually love. It's hilarious, it's bloody, it's a really great time. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's great. You said this is controversial. That's why we did this list. And now all the movies are fucking awesome on that list.
I think it's important that we get some fat people representation on this list, and Peter Jackson checks all the marks, I think.
And Guillermo not. Whatever.
Well, he's Mexican first, fat second.
Okay. He's the Mexican guy, and Peter Jackson's just a fat one.
Next up is Event Horizon, which I haven't seen. Neither has anyone.
No, I've seen Event Horizon. I've rewatched it recently, and it's not that great. It has great sets, but that's kind of it. I mean, Paul W.S. Anderson is a terrible filmmaker, and it's a shame that he's still alive. Next pick.
Next up is Cat People, of course, a classic, which I also don't love that much. I don't know what you guys say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I still love Paul Schrader and so on, but yeah,
probably
not
the
his.
original.
Probably the original.
I haven't seen the one from Paul Schrader or the one from the 50s or 40s or whenever it's from. I don't know.
I have also not seen the one by Paul Schrader, but the original one, I suddenly remembered it's the black and white one. There's this famous jump scare, and yeah, I liked it. It's okay.
Next up is the first really controversial pick. It's The Human Centipede 2. I haven't seen it, but it's pretty notoriously not good, I think.
Okay, next one.
Next one, Dead of Night, which I have never heard of, from the year 1945.
1945? You said 1945.
Or 54.
Dead of Night. By which director?
It doesn't say. The only name it says is also Saki. Something.
Saki.
Wait, Dead of Night.
Isn't that this guy who made... Damn, I fucking know about this movie, but I don't think that I've seen it. Otherwise, I would probably remember. So, yes, just move on.
Oh, Basil Dearden. Basil Dearden is the director.
Oh, fuck.
Favorite.
Oh, 4 people directed this?
4 people directed it. You heard it here first. Let's go to the next one. Also, I want to say
Exclusive information.
the famous actor and director Jonas Nicolai is actually a great fan of Human Centipede 2 and thinks it's amazing. So maybe we should give it a shot.
A Page of Madness is next, which is very, I mean, not very famous, but it's fairly famous. It's a silent film from Japan. I've seen it and I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. It has some cool visuals, but I don't know.
What's the movie name?
A Page of Madness.
Okay, no, doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Horror of Dracula, aka Hammer's original Dracula film with Christopher Lee from the late 50s. I'd like it. I wouldn't put it in my top 100, I think.
I probably wouldn't either, but I watched it the first time, didn't like it very much, hate Hammer's Frankenstein, where Frankenstein's monster is in it for like 5 minutes. But then I watched Dracula again, and it's actually really good. I like Hammer's Dracula, but it's not as good as Frankenstein Created Woman, which is a movie we are going to talk about another time. That maybe should be on this list.
No, just carry on.
Blood Feast from 1963. Haven't seen it.
Oh, you mean this one by Herschel Gordon Lewis? That's the one, right? 63.
Yes.
It's like the first splatter gore movie of all time, and holy shit, it's the fucking trashiest thing. It's fucking awesome. It's like on YouTube, and you all have to watch. It's John Waters is like a big fan of it. He quotes the movie constantly in his own movies. In Serial Mom, they watch it and so on. And it's yes, I've seen it, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's about this guy who's like cooking an original Egyptian feast with humans, and the acting is so cringe you cannot make it up.
Then we have The Vanishing from 1988, aka Sporlos. I also haven't seen it.
Fantastic. I have it on DVD, and yeah, it's a great movie. It's just a super awesome thing. A psychological thriller and disturbing, but also very original. The killer is super original in this movie, and this motivation, I've honestly never seen anything quite like it.
Then we have Village of the Damned, which I also haven't seen. Then we have a film I really love, Reanimator. Really fun film from the 80s, extremely entertaining, and a cult classic, of course.
Yes, the fucking guy who plays the Herbert West, what's his name again? Damn, he's such a great actor, man. He's completely underrated, and he's like classically trained in theater and so on, and there are like theater shows where he is like playing Edgar Allan Poe, and he's like doing everything alone. He's standing on stage, quoting Edgar Allan Poe for like hours and hours and hours. There are like I don't know, videos on YouTube where he's like quoting Shakespeare together with other famous actors. Completely underrated actor, great actor. What do you think?
I haven't seen it, but you also see Barbara Crampton's breasts in Brian De Palma's Body Double. That's
Good.
Side recommendation.
Good to know. Of course, head gives head.
Then we have Dead Ringers from 1988. David Cronenberg, right?
David Cronenberg's best movie, in my opinion. A fucking flawless, completely mind-blowing masterpiece, in my opinion. I was super stunned when I watched this the first time, and I've only seen it one time, but it completely blew me away. And there are shots and scenes, the themes, the way it's directed, it's so flawless. Cronenberg can be a great genius, and this is, I have to say, probably his best film, the film that maybe reflects the most about the medium of film itself, with like two twins. We have two twins, and they are like gynecologists. It's a real life case, and man, I can't even describe it. Well,
Beverly.
we would have.
It's Jeremy Irons' best performance, and he plays. It's Jeremy Irons' best performance, and it's also Jeremy Irons' best performance. The two Oscar-worthy performances in that film, and I'm not sure if it's Cronenberg's best because I haven't seen enough Cronenberg, but Dead Ringers is great. Yeah.
Then we have the original Little Shop of Horrors from 1960, which I've seen like once because it's public domain, so you can watch it basically everywhere. And it's fine, I guess, number 83 on the list. Then we have What Lies Beneath from the year 2000, which I've never heard of. Then we have an advertisement that breaks my website.
That's truly horrific.
That's the true horror right here.
Let's just watch Dead Ringers really fast and then come back to this video. I don't know.
Okay. Then we have The Wolfman from 1941, which is a film that I used to love a lot. Now I think it's just pretty good, but not one of my favorites personally.
You like She-Wolf of London more now?
Yeah, probably.
I will kill you. I'm serious. She-Wolf of London is fucking awful. We will talk about it another time. But
Was
yeah,
it a Shakira song, a Kesha song, or no? Was it Shakira She-Wolf, or was it Kesha? That was a song from the early 2010s or something, 2009.
Listen, we are talking about an old.
I know. I
horror
just
movie.
wanted to interrupt your conversation. Just carry on.
Wolfman is alright. It's not that great, but it's a fucking masterpiece, Citizen Kane compared to She-Wolf of London.
Then we have House of Wax from 1953, starring Vincent Price. I like this film, but I think the original Mystery of the Wax Museum from 1935 or something, which is directed by the guy who did Casablanca, is a way better film. But it doesn't have Vincent Price, so I guess. But again, I wouldn't put it on the list personally. Then we have The Omen, which I think is a great film and yeah, deserves a spot on this list, maybe even a bit too low.
I don't know, I wouldn't probably put it on that list, maybe at all, but then again, I don't think that I could come up with 100 horror movies on the top of my head anyways, so I probably would put it there. Anyways, yeah, good kills, good story, I like it, it's good.
Oh man, I haven't seen it.
Then we have Angst from 1983. Philip.
That's what I'm fucking talking about. Whenever we are living like half an hour away from the guy who directed this movie, Gerald Kagel. He's living in Villach right now. And I always said that we should go to him and stalk him, preferably on Halloween, dressed up as the killer from Angst, one of the greatest performances in all of film history, one of the greatest cinematographies of all of film history. Markus Carlson Hafner, Andreas Jechtel. This is what I'm talking about. Every time when we meet, I say, hey, have you seen Angst? Or at some conversation, I will just say, Angst. And people know what I'm talking about because I'm always talking about this movie. Gerald Kagel, if you see this, it's a great film.
Haven't seen it.
Then we have
The Blob.
The original, yeah, from the 50s with Steve McQueen. I really like it. I prefer it over the remake, although the remake is also really good. But honestly, a bit of a pick I didn't expect, definitely.
It's not as good as Angst, I'm sorry to say it, but Angst is probably one of the best movies on this list until to this point. I mean, there are, Angst is great, Blob is really cool, and I really, really like it.
Then we have I Walked with a Zombie, which I haven't seen.
I have seen this movie, and I absolutely do not like it. I think it's fucking boring.
Okay, that's the exact same thing that I would say about the next film, which is The Descent, which I famously really hate.
What the fuck? You think that movie is boring? The Descent? Like, where it's about constant tension and constant drama? I mean, this movie is anything, but it's not boring.
It's about constant fear and drama in the first 30 minutes, and then it becomes really boring.
No, the Descent is good. It's maybe not as good as its reputation, but it's one of the good 2000s horror movies, British horror movies, or just in general female-led horror movies. It's good.
The greatest strength of this movie, The Descent, is to not be boring. You're totally wrong.
Then we have a film that I actually love, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, one of my favorite films ever, basically. What can I say? Great performances, great concept, really cool direction. A classic, absolutely.
I like it too, but I think it's probably like Wolfgang M. Schmidt, who has also an English language YouTube channel right now called The Film Analysis. You should totally subscribe to that and learn something actually in your life. He compared this movie with Blue Velvet, and I think he's totally right about it. It's basically, it has the similar themes than Blue Velvet, but I think Blue Velvet is just the fully realized masterpiece, and Nightmare on Elm Street is like a really above average slasher. Yeah, probably deserves to be on the list. I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
Blue Velvet is definitely no masterpiece. Then we have Blood for Dracula, which is one of the Hammer Horror Dracula sequels, which I haven't seen and I find really random to include it here. Then we have Creature from the Black Lagoon, another of the Universal classics, which I don't think should be that high on the list. I don't like it that much, honestly.
Yeah, again, I think it's cool. I saw it as a kid. We both did. We have a spot for it in our hearts, probably. But yes, it doesn't deserve to be on that list. And it's directed by, isn't it, Jack Arnold? and he has directed an incredible film called The Incredible Shrinking Man, where a guy is like shrinking, and that one is actually fantastic. That's the one that should be on there.
I haven't seen either of those.
Then we have fucking Hostel Part 2, which, to be fair, I haven't seen, but I've seen the first one. It's like an okay kind of gore splatter, torture porn, whatever you want to call it. Baffling inclusion, in my opinion. Then we have The Wailing, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is supposed to be really great. So
No, The Wailing isn't that good. It's no. That's. I mean, there are many good Korean films. I mean, it's barely a horror movie. I think. I mean, kind of, but it's nah. Fuck The Wailing.
So you heard it.
Watch The Chaser from the same director. That's a solid as okay thriller. The Yellow Sea, which isn't about urine, is also okay. It's also an okay action movie, but The Wailing is kind of just rubbish. It's not even funny. It kind of wants to be some like there are like slapstick comedy elements because the main character is kind of an idiot, a buffoon, something. But no, I didn't. Fuck The Wailing. Next.
next up is Near Dark, which I haven't seen. It's from 1987. Then we have The Sixth Sense, which I also haven't seen.
Oh, I've seen that a long time ago, and I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it since. Yeah.
Then we have Possession, which I also haven't seen.
Oh, the awesomeness of this fucking acting. I mean, I tried to reproduce the acting from Blood Feast, but I cannot reproduce the acting from Possession. I mean, I can try it, but it's going to be the cringiest thing you have ever experienced, that you are going to shrink like the shrinking man. Yeah, I think Possession is awesome, and I think it's the best movie that this guy from Jurassic Park was ever in, and it is also his greatest performance. The scene when he tries to force himself to vomit, and he takes like a feather like that and just is like doing this with a feather until he vomits. It's hilarious. I think it's a super funny movie actually, and at the same time really disturbing. What do you think?
I think it shows East Berlin in all its beauty, and I think as that the Possession is an important film.
Isabella Gianni, one of my absolute favorite actresses of all time, maybe my number second after Liv Ullmann, of course.
Then we have The Babadook from the year 2014, which I haven't seen in a long time, but I didn't really love it back then. I think the monster looks super silly and they shouldn't have shown him in the film, yeah.
How strange that you say that, because you are such a fan of German Expressionism, and this entire movie is like, oh, we like German Expressionism, let's do something like that. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, but they basically make a family drama out of it, and then for one shot they show the monster and it looks super silly. If they just showed the illustrations in the book, that would have been cool.
Maybe you're right. I think I can agree with that actually.
Why the Babadook? Why not the Marmaduke?
Okay. Then we have a film, Philip, you've already mentioned, which is The Incredible Shrinking Man. Is this actually a horror film? I thought it was like a sci-fi.
We can go on to the next movie.
Yeah, if we already talked about it, we can go on. Is it a horror movie? Maybe half of it is. Like there are super scary scenes with a giant spider. I mean, it's like a normal spider, but he's like super small. But this movie is dark as shit, actually. I mean, I would love to spoil the ending. Can I spoil the ending? Please.
No.
He says yes. Write in the comments what we should do. Is this live?
No.
Has their
There are
recording?
no people watching that can comment. What?
Has it stopped? Has the person... Okay, never mind. He shrinks and shrinks and shrinks until he's in like atomic level. And he just accepts that.
That's like the ending of Ant-Man 2.
Just ripped it off, but Shrinking Man is better. Watch Shrinking Man. It's cool.
Then we have Planet Terror, which I also haven't seen. And Philip, you're nodding, but does this deserve number 64 of the greatest horror films of all time?
Oh my god, my god! But it's cool. It's really cool. It's by Robert Rodriguez. It's a cool modern exploitation movie. If you put it together with Death Proof, actually, and take that as one movie, I could actually imagine this thing, Grindhouse, those two movies together on this list at one spot, because it then really gets super experimental and avant-garde to some extent. So I could imagine that being justified. But Planet Terror alone is just a really good zombie movie. But it's totally worth watching. It's great.
Robert Rodriguez's last good movie.
Then we have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the version from 1931, which I haven't seen. I only know the effect shot. Looks cool, I guess. Then we have Gremlins from 1984, which is a movie I like, but again, I don't really think it belongs on this list.
Yeah, but it's great. I put it probably in something like the same category like Planet Terror, quality wise. I think it's super entertaining. It's charming and it's worth watching. Definitely.
I haven't seen it.
Then we have a film that I really think belongs on this list.
Wait a minute. If you haven't seen it, then do something like this or do something like this.
Oh,
because
okay, sorry.
there's
Then-
so much, so much time. We are fast here, man. We're fucking fast.
What number are we at?
Number 61,
You're right on time.
not the Beast. No, don't worry, it's not the Wicker Man, it's Candyman, the original from the 90s, which is a really fucking awesome movie. I like it a lot. Tony Todd is great in it. The score by Philip Glass is really great. It's based on a story by Clive Barker. Yeah, absolute classic. Everyone who hasn't seen it should definitely watch it.
Yeah, Tom, it shows your obsession with those kind of junk movies like Nightmare on Elm Street and now the Candyman. If you would have said the original Wicker Man, that one actually deserves to be on this spot. But original
Probably
Candyman,
still in the list. Probably still coming. The Wicker Man, the original.
Candyman, what do you think?
I haven't seen it.
Fuck you!
Then we have Philip. You're probably gonna chiss your pants. We have Funny Games, the original by Michael Haneke. I like this movie. I probably should rewatch it at some point, but I don't love it.
Give me a little time. Can I smoke a cigarette?
It's good. It's effective.
I think Tom has already made my position pretty clear on that film and on Michael.
And then we have Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which is a film I really like. It stars Betty Weiss, and she's absolutely fantastic. Betty Davis, sorry, and she's absolutely fantastic in this film. The story is really cool. I like the ending. Yeah.
Incredible masterpiece. Betty Davis is one of my favorite actresses also, and only because of this movie alone, she deserves a spot in my heart.
Then we have Raw from 2016, which I haven't seen. Then we have a film that I have seen and that I do love, Peeping Tom from 1960, which is like together, which is about me, and together with Psycho is often seen as like the Kickstarter to the whole slasher thing, but of course there's Giallo and all that. Yeah, long story.
But even Giallo's, or Gialli, we should say, came a little bit, I think, later or at the same time, but not 1960. Before 1960, any major Gialli? I don't think so. I think the first one was by Mario Bava. I mean, the first actually like big recognized Giallo and so on. Obviously, those genre distinctions are not really that hard. Those are like smooth progressions and digressions. So, but yeah, Peeping Tom is a masterpiece of film history, of course. You should all watch it, especially you.
Then we have The Fly by David Cronenberg, which, yeah, I really like. And Anton hasn't seen, I'm pretty sure, so he's just gonna walk out.
Yeah. And another incredible movie. Have we still Maßregel? No, because if we had some mass, I could reproduce a scene from David Cronenberg's The Fly, my favorite scene, when Jeff Goldblum is screaming something about plasma and science, and then this incredible music by Howard Shore kicks in that he has reworked into an opera, and then we see David Goldblum walking on the street, eating a piece of chocolate like that, while this epic music by Howard Shore is like playing, and that's, I think, the greatest scene in that movie, but it's also great otherwise.
Yeah, it's David Cronenberg's Spider-Man. And then we have on number 55, way too low, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. One of the greatest films ever made, in my humble opinion, one of my absolute favorites. I love it to pieces. I've recently watched the 2005 remake and I wanted to kill myself. No, but really this original is absolutely fantastic, yeah.
I didn't really like it that much when I watched it the first time. But then I watched it again with the score by the band Genetically Manipulated Flies. That's like on YouTube, and that's, I think, the ultimate version of the movie. It's by far the best one, and it's the best music, the best fitting music that fits to a movie ever created. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, but only with the score by Genetically Manipulated Flies. It's a super obscure band, but it's on YouTube for free, the entire movie, plus the score. Incredible. In this combination, definitely deserves a higher spot even, I think.
I haven't seen it.
Then we have Let the Right One In from 2008, which I haven't seen.
You haven't seen it? You both? Oh,
I have seen it.
oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I also really love it. It's probably maybe it is one of the great vampire movies. Yeah, it's just an overall awesome movie, and I think it does deserve a spot on this list. I think I wouldn't agree with this particular place where it's on the list, but maybe we should do this. Maybe we should just say, if we have seen the movie, maybe thumbs up for yes, it should belong on the list, and thumbs down for no, it should not belong on the list. Then there's a little bit of clarity. Yes, exactly. And we should also say it for the people who are just listening. I think this one belongs on the list. Do you think that it belongs on the list?
Yes, but it's great, but the CGI cats are awful. They ruin the whole film. No, they don't, but...
I agree with the CGI, but other than that, it's great.
Then we have one of only two great David Lynch films, Eraserhead, which, sure, I guess you could put it on the list. I'm not even sure if I would even call it horror. It's more like a kind of surreal... yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's Eraserhead.
It's not like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari at all. That one is totally horror and not surreal, because those things are mutually exclusive. All right, it deserves to be on this list. It's great. It has maybe the best sound design ever. I can say that about it.
It's not one of my favorite Lynch films, but I guess it deserves to be on the list.
One of the scariest and most disturbing movies I've ever seen. It creates a completely new and unique feeling and universe and vibe that has never existed anywhere before in film history. Watch the other surrealist movies. Watch Louis Buñuel, watch Maya Deren, watch Robert Wiene, even though that's more like expressionism. Nobody ever did anything like that before, and after Lynch, many people tried to rip him off and so on, rip his style off, but this is an incredibly impressive and important piece of filmmaking that still holds up. Watch this movie alone in a dark room. It really transports you into a very schizophrenic world, which is, of course, what David Lynch is best at.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's his most spiritual film.
Maya Deren, Buñuel, and Wiener didn't do it because they were actually good directors. Then we have Blood and Black Lace, which I think I've seen once. I don't remember too much about it. I guess it's good, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's by Mario Bava. It's a classic giallo and so on. I honestly probably wouldn't put it on the list. Almost wouldn't put it on the list. It's just above average, I think. I think if I would really try, I would probably find 100 horror movies that could be called horror movies, in the same respect that Incredible Shrinking Man is a horror film, I guess, that are better than Blood and Black Lace. But it is a really good movie. I think it's as good as The Blob, for example. That's like the same category. It's like cheesy, old, doesn't really hold up all that well, but it's incredibly charming, well shot, has great ideas, great images, and so yes. Have you seen it? No. Okay.
Then we have a film that I think is awesome, Irreversible by Gaspar Noé, which deserves its spot on the list if you consider it to be a horror film, which is of course always the question.
Yeah, fantastic. Amro El Tatawi has burned this movie, of course, in his horror-esque masterpiece, Unicorn House, and deservedly so, because Unicorn House is obviously better, but Irreversible is still really great.
My favorite depiction of gay sex on film.
Absolutely, when Gaspar Noé is masturbating and so on. It's very realistic. I have seen a homosexual person once, and it was really like being in that scene.
Then we have a film that definitely deserves to be on this list, maybe even higher, Onibaba by Kuroneko, which is a masterpiece, absolutely. It's beautifully shot, has a really interesting payoff to its story, and yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, it's about an old woman being, disliking that a young woman is young.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Then we have The Witch from 2015, which, I like the film. I don't really think it should be on the list, so maybe a thumbs down from me.
I honestly have to say I've seen it only once and I have to watch it again because there are definitely qualities that I absolutely adore about this movie. Especially it sometimes gets like interpreted as this young girl who gets perverted by the way she gets treated by her family, badly treated by her family, and so she becomes at the end an evil witch and like flies away and so on. I see it as a story of like breaking free of those repressive structures, and I think, as in all great art, the devil and so on is of course the most interesting character, and this female protagonist, this young girl, gets liberated at the end, of course, by the devil, as it is in, for example, Faust by Goethe, which is like a German play, and the greatest German character in literature history is, of course, the devil Mephisto in Goethe's Faust, and we see this topos again explored in this movie from a different direction, and so I think that really is super interesting, and maybe we should read this movie in a Faustian way.
I don't think it's great, but it's literally goated.
Okay, from goats we go to The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock, which I really like. This is a film which I think has great sound design. There famously isn't any music, it's just birds, creatures and stuff, and it's directed beautifully, of course, by the master. Not much to say about it, it's awesome.
Yes, we and Tom, we both think it should be on the list. And I also think that it's a masterpiece that I have not understood for a very long time, but the more I think about it, the more interesting it really gets. I mean, birds attack humans. That's basically the entire premise of the movie. Or is it? There's no explanation apparently for the birds, but what are the birds all about? The birds are a metaphor for love. It's the love between Melanie and Mitch. They meet each other, they fall in love, and she gives lovebirds to him as a present for his little sister. But then they meet the evil, possessive mother of Mitch, which is of course a classic Hitchcockian topos, and immediately a few seconds in the movie before they meet the mother, the first bird attack happens. Just one bird attacks, and literally in the next scene we have like a 2-minute long close-up of the mother, just of the mother watching while Mitch and this woman are talking to one another. Mitch and Melanie are talking to one another. We immediately see, yes, it's the love, it's the obsessive love to her son that the mother has for her son, this type of obsessive, possessive love that manifests in now the evil birds that are attacking everybody, which is a contrast to the lovebirds. And that's also why in this super famous scene, all the women in the town, or one of the women in the town, gets to Melanie, stares her directly into the face and directly into the camera and says, you are the reason why the birds are attacking. Only you, Melanie. You are the fucking reason why the birds are attacking. And she's totally right. Melanie is the only reason why the birds are attacking. And it's a super dark ending, which says that oppressive love wins over this actual sweet love bird type love. Super dark film, check it out and appreciate it even if you don't understand it the first time.
Actually, the only metaphor in the film is that a bunch of crows are called a murder. Then we come to another masterpiece that I think is probably even too low at 47. The original Godzilla, which Variety is pretty much in their description about the film, just making fun of how bad the costume design and all that is, which is so fucking disrespectful because this film is dark as fuck. It's a drama, it's a war film, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, also like it may probably not as much as you.
Then at 46, which is the spot that people have probably screamed about the most on Twitter because they wanted it to be way higher, is John Carpenter's The Thing. And my hot take is, I think the placement is more or less correct at 46. It's a good film. I like it. It probably shouldn't be that much higher.
I don't care about placing or any fucking thing like that. That's a ridiculous concept anyways, almost. I mean, it's better than Hostel 2, I think, even though I haven't seen Hostel 2. But yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing is an incredible film. And yeah, I think it's perfect. It's ice cold and it fits to the themes of the movie. It's about...
Fits to the temperature in here.
It fits to the temperature in here. And I have to say, it's underrated because it is a film about filmmaking. It is a film about acting, about people playing something that they maybe aren't, or maybe they are something that they don't even know they are. How much are they fusing with the character that they are inhabiting? What is identity, people? Yeah, it deserves to be on the list.
Okay. Then we have another one of my favorite films of all time, The Invisible Man from the year 1933, which has one of my favorite performances by Claude Rains. He's fucking amazing. The special effects are genius for the time, revolutionary, absolutely. And James Whale directing, yeah, what can I say?
I have to see it again, but I love the movie. But I'm not sure right now that I would actually put it on there. I'm not really sure, but probably, yeah, it could fit somewhere there. I love it, yeah.
Then we have another film that I've never heard of, I think, Manhunter from the year 1986. I guess you've seen it?
Great. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen it once. Didn't like it that much. It's like the first Hannibal Lecter movie. It's by Michael Mann, the guy who directed Heat and so on. And yes, it's like adaptation of Red Dragon, the first Hannibal Lecter novel by Thomas Harris. And the first time I watched it, I didn't like it that much, but then I watched it a second time, and it is really incredible, and definitely the best or second best Hannibal Lecter adaptation besides or after Silence of the Lambs. It has maybe the greatest scene where the detective is figuring something out with this guy, Will Graham. He's standing in front of a window, and it's like this wide shot. It's not a close-up of him. He's standing there thinking about something. In the background, you have like a gigantic skyscraper that's like shining through the window, and then you have like this 80s synthesizer music coming in when he figures it out, and then he says it will happen like this and this and this, and then there's another person off screen who says no, it doesn't work here and here, and then he says no, it's going to be like blah blah blah. He has checked everything, and it's the greatest scene I think ever where someone figures something out. The greatest scene where someone is figuring something out. Super sublime and beautiful. Not like in this movie where they throw down the coffee cup and shit. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, there's still a little bit of coffee in there. But no, I've only seen it once, but Manhunter is good. Yeah. Michael Mann is always you get at least a decent picture out of it if you're watching a Michael Mann movie. He hasn't made any bad ones, at least none that I have seen.
Then we have another legendary director, of course, Carl Theodor Dreyer with Vampire, which I probably should watch again because the first time around I didn't love it as much as I probably should. And funny little trivia: Max Schreck, who plays Count Orlok in Nosferatu, actually has a speaking role in the German dub of this film.
Nice. I didn't know that. Another funny trivia: the the fucking Instagram profile picture from Lars von Trier. Lars von Trier's profile picture on Instagram is from a scene from Vampire by Carl Theodor Dreyer. I've also seen it. I think it deserves to be on the list because it is just so special and otherworldly. Again, like Eraserhead, even maybe more dreamlike, because this movie in my memory really feels like reminiscing about an old nightmare that I had. It's spooky and strange, but I also have to see it again. But I would still put it on the list because it really is so unique and otherworldly, and obviously incredibly shot and acted and so on, like we expect from Dreyer.
Then we have a big thumbs down from me, 28 Days Later, which I don't dislike, but I don't think it's nearly as good as people make it out to be. It's a decent zombie or infection flick, whatever. I like it well enough, but
maybe I would even put it on the list, honestly, because I think it is, just incredibly interestingly executed. And it is something new. It created a new image of the zombie, for better or worse, which is the running zombie. And that's a pretty crazy idea, right? It's like a zombie that runs.
Oh my, yeah. I've only seen it once a long time ago, but the main theme, the score is almost better than the film.
Yeah, you know what? It gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, no. Then we have The Devils from Ken Russell. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You have seen it?
Barely. I was I was in the theater, but I was drunk and high, and then I think I fell asleep. So
I wanted to joke, you were drunk again, you were high again, but you actually were. You cannot make this shit up, man. No, The Devils is incredible. I think it's Ken Russell's best movie, probably. I think this is this type we have talked before about how we both struggle with Federico Fellini, for example, and Ken Russell was compared with Fellini by Fellini. Fellini met him once, and Fellini said, "Hello, in Italy, I'm called the Italian Ken Russell," like as a compliment. And yes, with Fellini, I've always the problem that Fellini wants to tell very intimate, private stories with gigantic sets and like super extravagant cinematography and so on. But here with Ken Russell, it is all about this psychedelic rage and what is it that Freud says that women are always doing?
Getting fucked by their sons.
No, the other one. But that one might also be true. I don't know if that happens in the movie, but I could imagine it. It's like super hardcore controversial. I would compare it to A Clockwork Orange. It's incredibly executed. Set designed by Derek Jarman. Shout out, man, to Derek Jarman. He's dead already, but...
Shout out to hell. Where Derek Jarman.
Yeah,
Jarman resides in.
Yeah, shout out to hell.
Or purgatory, or wherever he is. No.
You are high right now.
No, I just had a moment of, inspiration to shout out Derek Jarman in hell, or purgatory, or heaven, wherever he is.
Yeah, rock on, and it deserves to be on the list. Definitely, it's a masterpiece.
Then we have a director who is probably actually in hell because he's gay, James Whale with Bride of Frankenstein, which people will be probably surprised that I don't love this film that much. I mean, it's a really good sequel. It deserves to be on the list definitely, but I don't love it as much as many people do.
One of the greatest movies ever made. One of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen. It's like an hour long. It's an hour long, and it literally starts with like. Here we are coming back to Ken Russell because he has also made a movie about this, where the entirety of his movie is like the first 5 minutes of Bride of Frankenstein, and his movie is 30 minutes longer than Bride of Frankenstein. But yes, in his first few minutes, we see like Mary Shelley, her husband Percy B. Shelley, and of course Lord
Shelley is in the movie
Lord
as a
Byron.
character?
Yes, Lord Byron is also, they are all in the movie as characters, just fucking standing there. Lord Byron is like saying, I am the most evil person alive. God should kill me with a lightning right now, but he doesn't dare because I'm too fucking evil for him. And this is like what all the people are thinking about me, what I'm doing in private. So yes, I totally sympathize. The effects are incredible. It's so fast-paced, but never too fast in its pacing.
Can I also? I haven't seen it, but I think there should be a modern day remake called Pride of Frankenstein.
Not bad.
Okay.
I try.
And by the way, the Mary Shelley is played by Elsa Lanchester, who also plays the bride and who was the real life bride of what's his fucking name again? Charles Lawton. Charles Lawton, yeah.
The director of Night of the Hunter.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't know that. Also, you see, we are not homophobes because he said pride.
Okay, then we have a film that I haven't seen, Kwaidan from the year 1964.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard so much about it. It's like this 3-hour-long anthology film. I think it has won an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, but I haven't seen it.
Then we have a film that I absolutely adore, and that's also famously not really a horror film, Freaks by Todd Browning. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Obviously deserves to be on the list. It's on 38. It could easily be top 20 in my opinion.
Super revolutionary, and the images are breathtaking without trying to be breathtaking. And what is so breathtaking about them is the humanism in the camera that's maybe today only replicated by Harmony Korine in masterpieces like Gummo. Gummo is our modern Freaks.
Fuck you, Philip.
Just with better cinematography, better camera work, and a better script. Maybe not a better script, but yeah, it's on par with Freaks. Gummo, the movie, is definitely on par with Freaks. Write in the comments what you think about it. Honestly, I would be interested.
Anybody's even gonna write anything into the comments that isn't, it's usually me, but I mean that isn't one of us, then I think we...
Then you watch the movies and write it down. Whatever.
Then we have Deep Red from Dario Argento, which I don't think I've seen.
I have seen it. I think it's great. It's definitely one of Argento's best. Probably deserves to be on there. Honestly, maybe...
So far above Suspiria.
So far above Suspiria, yes. That's not in question for me. That's uninteresting to me. They are both incredible. They are both amazing. I think Suspiria is better. I think Suspiria is more original and purer. But yeah, Deep Red is also great. Have you seen it?
Yes, seen it many years ago. It's incredibly beautiful, but I also remember being somewhat annoyed by the plot. I don't... The murder mystery whole thing, I think that was not that, but it's a really, really well made picture.
No.
I guess you could say.
No.
Just next.
Speaking of annoying, we get to a film starring a little kid, Hereditary, and thank God what happens to this kid. Thank God I hated her. The rest of the film is pretty good. Sure, probably deserves a spot on the list, I guess.
Yeah, probably deserves a spot on the list. I wouldn't put it that high though, but it is good. Maybe Midsommar is better, and I haven't seen Beau is Afraid, but whatever.
The best scene in the movie is where the kid gets beheaded, and the rest is basically just rubbish. Fuck this film. Next.
The original Invasion of the Body Snatchers from '56, which I haven't seen. Then we have Evil Dead Part 2, which is everyone's favorite except mine. I prefer the original.
I also prefer the original. Have you seen it? No.
I haven't seen the original. I've only seen part 2, and I remember liking the effects, but not much else. It's not really up my alley. Bruce Campbell is great. That's all I'm gonna say.
It still maybe deserves a spot on this, but I think the original deserves more of a spot on this.
Then we have a film that I wouldn't call a horror film, and if you were to put it on a list, it should be number 1, because it's M by Fritz Lang, undoubtedly one of the greatest films ever made, and place 33 on a top 100 horror list. It makes absolutely no sense to me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think if you put things like Shrinking Man on that, or even Manhunter, then I think you can totally justify, or Freaks, putting M on there. And yes, it's a masterpiece, yes.
Yeah, but if you put it on there, it should be higher. And you could say the same thing about the next film, which is The Night of the Hunter, which is also amazing, also barely a horror film, and also should be higher if it's on the list at all.
And also by Charles Lawton. Have you seen it?
Yes, it's Charles Lawton's best film and his only film.
And his worst film.
Yes.
Although he does star in a lot of different films. Then we have a film that I think it's an absolute insult to put before M and before Night of the Hunter, directly in front of them. It's Ringu, the original Ring film, which I think is okay. Doesn't deserve to be on the list, in my opinion.
I think you could argue that it should be on the list, but it's not as good or better than M, for example. But yeah, I still liked it. We only watched like the German dubbed version, and that one is really funny. Where this old guy is like already in the trailer, he's like running outside, falling down, and then he's screaming, "Oh, I don't know." Super funny. German dubs are the best, and movies get always better when they are dubbed into German.
Hot take. The remake, I haven't seen the original, but the remake belongs on this list. It's really good.
Okay, then we have Eyes Without a Face, which I really like. I think it's a great film. It deserves to be on the list. Maybe a bit too high in my opinion. Yeah, good film.
It's a really good Billy Idol song.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Billy Idol is, but I know this movie. There's like a face surgery scene in it. It's like a black and white, poetic French film that's actually made in the time of the French New Wave, but it is super gothic, but at the same time pretty modern. And yeah, beautiful music, beautiful ending when the girl is going out of that.
I haven't seen it.
When the face is eaten, and then she's going out there with this white mask, and this music is the music is honestly so great that I listened to it in private without even watching the film. Dum 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 dum.
Okay. Speaking of music, we have The Phantom of the Opera from 1925, where Lon Chaney, in my opinion, gives one of the best performances in cinema history. I absolutely love this guy and this performance especially. The first time I watched this, I didn't like it, but now I think it's a masterpiece and definitely deserves to be on here.
Yes, I've given the DVD to an actress called Katharina Shark. I shot her in the face once, and she's all right. And I think she said, "Yeah, it's really cool." I don't know if she really liked it, but we should totally get her on the podcast and interview her about that experience of being shot in the face.
And then watching Phantom of the Opera. Anyways, another film we've already talked about, The Wicker Man, the original, with Christopher Lee. It's a really cool film, kind of a police mystery film, but gets really weird and cultish. Yeah, I love it a lot.
Yeah, I also love it. The music is absolutely incredible. I listen to that also all the time. Fucking Gentle Johnny, Gentle Johnny. I have a friend whose name is Johnny, and they play the song when Johnny in the movie has like sex or wants to have sex. I don't know. And I don't know. I always tell this guy then that when he has sex, he should play this song, Gentle Johnny, but he never wants to play it.
Never wants to have sex.
Yeah, or he never wants to have sex. I don't know. Um, and I think it's one of the greatest movies, probably about religion and all of that, because I think that's the actual theme of this movie is that this police guy is like, I don't know, like super religious, and he's a virgin because of his religion, and that's the reason why he gets killed by people from another religion. That's a super ironic twist ending almost. It is a twist ending. Sorry for the spoiler, by the way.
Burning sculpt. I haven't seen it. I've only seen scenes from the remake where Nicolas Cage punches some women, and it's like in a bear costume or something. Just carry on.
Yeah, I think it deserves totally a place on this. It's great.
And then we have a film that gets a bit of a bad rap nowadays, but I think it's still a fantastic film. Dracula from 1931, another Todd Browning film starring Bela Lugosi, of course. The cinematography by Karl Freund is beautiful. I really, really love this film. Bela Lugosi plays the part perfectly. Yeah, I adore it. I think it has a great atmosphere.
I don't think it's that good, but it's still good. Yeah, it's just another one of these picks where I'm not even sure I would give it a place on this list at all. But it is really good. It's like The Invisible Man, or all of this other stuff like Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of those classic Universal monster movies. They are all great, but I don't know if they all deserve to be on this list. But yes, you count how many movies you have seen, because I want you to feel embarrassed.
Then we have The Innocents, which I haven't seen in a while, but I remember really liking, so I guess, yeah.
From what years?
1961.
It's that movie that's upstairs on
yeah.
DVD, and you have asked me about it yesterday.
Schloss des Schreckens.
Schloss des Schreckens, which is
Just now, when we are talking English, we just also have to pronounce German titles like foreigners, like Schloss des Schreckens.
we have a video on this channel where we two are talking about our top 5 favorite movies and some special surprise guest and so on. And I put this movie on number 5 on my list of favorite movies. Why do I love it so much? Because the atmosphere is just so subtle and beautiful, like something like a flower that's going to break as soon as you touch it, or as soon as the wind touches it. It's poetic. The script is by this guy who has a white wallet, Truman Capote.
Then we have the only film that will make you afraid of one of the guys from Scooby-Doo. It's, of course, Scream by Wes Craven. And I think this film is amazing. I don't think I have anything negative to say. It's close to perfect, pretty much. It's extremely entertainment, really funny, extremely entertaining, really funny. Great film, yeah.
That's entertainment. That's entertainment.
Scream is the only great Scream movie.
Maybe yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
The sequels are all. Some of them are.
Part
okay.
4 is really cool.
No,
I really like Part 4.
Part 4 stuff.
No, it's the only other good one. Then we have The Blair Witch Project, which I think is a fantastic film. I know it's a bit of a controversial film. Not everyone likes it, but I think it's great.
Yeah, I also think they executed it brilliantly, and they did one thing so right, which is what Babadook didn't do, which is to not show the monster. Oh my god, can you even imagine if they showed like a stupid witch thing at the end of the movie?
Could you imagine showing a monster in a horror movie? Are you stupid?
Yes, it would completely ruin it. Then
I haven't seen it. I don't know how the atmosphere.
I have-
Blair Witch Project.
I have watched the second one, or the third one. I don't even know. The newest one I've also watched, and there they did all this shit. They did everything wrong. It's an abysmal, terrible movie where they have to say like, oh my god, how can we update it? We have to fly around with a drone, and then the scary thing is that the drone gets lost. So oh my god, I lost control of my drone. No, it's so stupid. And then at the end we actually, I think, see the witch, some shitty rubber mask or CGI thing, something stupid. I can't almost remember it. And then they have to do like, okay, there's a rule how you can deal with the witch. If you do this and go around like this and this, then you can escape the witch. And then you see the shitty thing. It's so terrible. Oh my god. The original one does everything right.
We are losing track here. We have to carry on.
I would love to say that the next film is Carrie, because that would be really a fun segue, but it's actually Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero. Not the remake, which I haven't seen. The original I have seen, and I really like it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Fucking awesome. You're right. It's absolutely incredible. One of the most entertaining, funniest zombie movies of all time. This is the movie that made me fall in love with the idea of a zombie apocalypse. When I watched it as a child, I wanted this to be my everyday reality. Running around with guns, consuming shit, living the American dream, which is like to live in a shopping mall with zombies and guns. That's what I wanted to have. And yes, when COVID-19 came around and I read about it the first time in the papers, I said, please be a zombie apocalypse, please be a zombie virus. And then it failed me again.
I've only seen the Zack Snyder remake.
Okay, then we have Carnival of Souls, which I haven't seen.
I think it's also great. It's like a Twilight Zone episode. It's super cheap from the early 60s, like no budget. What number is it?
22, The Avenue, that's the place where we all go.
22, okay. Does it deserve to be on the list? Probably not really. I think it's the same thing like with Blood and Black Lace and The Blob and so on. It's super great, it's charming, it's completely original. It's totally a cult movie, right? Like totally worth watching. It's on the Criterion Collection and so on, like The Blob, and deserves to be there. I don't know if it deserves to be in the list, but it's still worth watching totally. Super iconic scenes, very creepy, great atmosphere, great work of art.
Then we have another film that I haven't seen, Black Sunday by Mario Bava.
This is, I think, probably his greatest movie. It's like this super gothic black and white. Barbara Steele is in it from 8.5 and so on. This one is Mario Bava's best movie. And honestly, from all the movies that we have talked about today, if you want to watch one of those for Halloween tonight, watch this one. It's fun and scary for the whole family. It's short. It's probably on YouTube. And yes, incredible atmosphere, incredibly shot, and just a classic gothic horror movie that everyone, I think, can enjoy. And still be freaked out by it. It's still super violent.
Then we have the film that already ruined the sight and sound list, and now it's ruining this one as well. Get out. Get the fuck out of every single list, please, forever. No, I don't hate it that much or anything. I think it's pretty good, but not deserved of this list, in my opinion.
Well, great, now we are racists too.
Yeah, only no solid film. I don't know if it's a great horror movie. It's good. It's a really good directorial debut.
Yeah, I've talked about this movie in Film Aesthetics, where I worked as some type of teacher, and one of the students wanted to analyze this movie, and so I had to talk with her about this movie, and I asked her, is this movie showing you a racist perspective, or has the movie a racist perspective? No one could answer that question, because this movie, that's what's so fascinating about it, it's like forcing you into the mindset of a racist in a really strange way that we should go into detail, but we don't have the time. But I think this is an actually incredibly controversial movie, or should be, more like Taxi Driver and so on, you know, this entire racism debate. But with this one, it's actually true. I'm not sure if this movie isn't racist, even though it doesn't try to be.
I am already a racist because I race every day. And now we have, if you think that Dracula and Creature and stuff shouldn't really belong on this list, then what do you have to say about the original The Mummy, which I think is easily one of the weakest of the Universal horror films. And in fact, Variety didn't even choose a picture from the actual film. They chose like the one of the random sequels that are even worse.
I thought maybe it showed Brendan Fraser. Or I haven't seen even those. I haven't even seen those the Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser ones. But
Okay.
I haven't seen any old.
We get it. You
Yeah,
haven't
just-
seen it. And
No, I
what's
just want to
surprise?
highlight every
What's
movie I haven't
surprise?
seen.
I think it's good. It shouldn't be on there. I agree. Next.
A film that definitely should be on there, probably top 10 material in my opinion, The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. Absolutely brilliant film, a masterpiece, one of the greatest horror films of all time easily.
One of the greatest movies about capitalism and communism ever made. And if you haven't get that theme from the movie, then you haven't understood it. And I didn't get this from this documentary, Room 237 or something. You know, there's a documentary about all these conspiracy theories. I haven't watched that one. I don't care about such theories and all of that. The movie is objectively about capitalism and yeah.
It's really good. It's kind of just I think the book isn't great. It starts really just fucking. It's not the best
Okay. Then we have a really big classic that a lot of people love that I haven't seen, Les Diaboliques, or however the fuck you pronounce it, the one with the bathtub.
Yeah, Diabolique. Isn't that a French movie? Isn't it? Yes, I've seen it. Yes, it's great. It's super Hitchcockian, masterclass filmmaking. It's by Georges Clouzot, I think. It's by the guy who. Okay. It's by this guy who who made this Picasso film and who won a Palme d'Or for Wages of Fear. Isn't that how it's called?
Which is, I mean, I've slept through some of Wages of Fear in this theater because I was drunk, but Sorcerer is the better movie, but I know I still haven't seen Les Diaboliques, but I have the film at my...
No, Sorcerer
I
is
still
not
haven't
the better
watched it.
one.
I bought it a long time ago and I still haven't...
You should
Yeah,
watch it.
I know.
Sorcerer is not the better movie. Wages of
Fuck
Fear
you.
is.
Next up, we have another classic of the genre, of course, the original Halloween by John Carpenter, which I like. I think it's really well made. It has a great atmosphere. It's iconic, of course. Number 16, I don't know about that, but it deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, I also like it. Can be on the list. The thing is still better.
The first hour of Wages of Fear is so boring.
From the moment in Wages of Fear, when you have this shot of like,
I've seen the last like 20 minutes when I woke up in the theater, and those were amazing, like the whole thing with the oil and all that shit. But like I don't care. Just okay. Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't seen
now to a film that
90% of those movies on the list. So I mean, who gives a fuck? Nobody's even still watching this video.
now a film that I don't really give a fuck about, Don't Look Now, which I think we've already discussed on either this channel or the German one. I think it's fine, but I don't love it. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything. Probably can be on the lower half of this list in my opinion.
I think it can be on the list. We have talked about it on the German podcast. And yeah, I think it's super original, beautiful, poetic, maybe not the greatest movie ever, but there are so many original and impressive qualities. Have you seen it?
I've seen it a long time ago. Beautiful music by Pino Donaggio, who had his masterworks in like films like Carrie by Brian De Palma or Blowout, or also Dress to Kill, where he had. But it's a long time ago that I've seen it, but it's good. I need to see it again. Definitely, I would probably even like it more back then.
Yeah,
when
I like
yeah,
it.
just-
I like Nacho, and
Well,
I would like it also more back then if I
Yeah,
watched
fuck
it
you.
again.
I really wanted to make a nacho joke.
I'm not a natural English
Um,
speaker, you fucking asshole.
Anyways, now we have a film that you can speak German about because it is Nosferatu, a Symphony of Horror by F.W. Murnau. I don't think it's Murnau's best film, but it's still one of the best films ever made. It's a masterpiece. The special effects haven't aged that well, but other than that, it's brilliant.
I also think it's Murnau's best film. I love it. I haven't seen it. Just okay. Next.
I just said it's not his best film.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
Continue.
I mean.
Not even close. Anyways, The Silence of the Lambs. I like this film a lot.
Numbers.
Number 13.
Okay, that's an unlucky number.
It was my favorite movie. I think I called it always my favorite movie for a long time because it was like the first serious adult movie maybe, and I don't mean that in the way that there's violence or something sexual, but I mean that there are serious dialogues, that there's like a serious intellect like Hannibal Lecter, where I thought, wow, this is a character that's not an idiot in an actual movie, because think about it, we totally associate movies with there's something stupid going on there, right? In every movie we expect a funny scene, a stupid side character or something like that. I absolutely adore movies without any of that. That's why I love Michael Haneke, for example. So yes, I don't like The Silence of the Lambs as much anymore, but it's still great.
It's really, really good, but we also, just to address Ridley Scott's Hannibal is a great vampire movie, and yes,
No, it isn't.
it is, and you need to rewatch it. And okay, yeah,
Okay. Then we have a film which is of course iconic, the original King Kong. I don't really like it that much. I think you could probably make the argument to include it, but I don't know. I don't feel strongly either way. It's a great film, sure.
You have giant pieces of shit in that movie, and one of my favorite characters, Carl
No.
Karl May, yes,
No.
Karl May.
Carl Mayer, I'm sorry, is the screenwriter for Nosferatu, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, whatever. This guy in King Kong, who's this crazy director who goes on this island, who is ready to sacrifice everybody and everything for like a cool shot and so on, who's almost a fascist, who's kind of an artist also. It's like this Werner Herzog type person almost, but he's not that poetic, obviously. But yes, I really love King Kong, I think.
when do we get Queen Kong?
Queen Kong, I also really like that one. Queen Kong, and there's like, and
I said, when do we get that? So the
already-
movie still isn't made.
No, it
What?
exists. Yes, absolutely. There's a Queen Kong, absolutely. Watch it. It's like a British comedy that's really awful.
Then we have Ridley Scott's Alien, which I think is really...
good as Hannibal.
It's not as good as a lot of films. I think it's a decent above average, definitely sci-fi, suspense, horror film, sure. I like it well enough. I don't think it's like top 20 material.
I've watched it again recently. It's better than Nightmare on Elm Street. It's better than Candyman. It is so suspenseful, honestly. I think maybe this one they should not have shown the alien, but honestly, just the atmosphere of the images, the set design, this super slow pacing, I mean, and this fascination that they create for the creature. I mean, when they see the spaceship the first time and it makes like no physical sense, you don't know what, it's almost like they invented a new form of physics and then created a spaceship that would work in a completely different universe with different physical laws. That's just a masterwork of design by H.R. Giger, for example, and this entire movie is on one level with that. It really is.
Isn't it Hans Rudi? Helm? No.
It is Helm Rudi.
Alien is great. Ridley Scott did better later on, like The Counselor with Brad Pitt and Michael Fassbender and Cameron Diaz.
What even is that? That's not real.
That's real. It was written by Cormac McCarthy, you Philistine. No, it's a fun, underrated movie with Cameron Diaz fucks a Ferrari.
Okay, can we? But it was written by Cormac McCarthy. He wrote the screenplay.
Yes, that's the only screenplay he ever wrote.
Okay, that's at least interesting.
Okay, now we have a fun overrated movie, Carrie by Brian De Palma. I I do like this film. I think it's good. It's probably deserves its spot on this list. I don't think it's that amazing or anything.
I think it's pretty perfect pop art and well deserves the list. And it is actually super dark and scary. Just think about the death scene of Carrie's mom and so on. That's actually incredibly subversive. I mean, I expect something like that in a movie like Salo or something like that.
It's one of Brian De Palma's best movies, so it's maybe one of the best movies ever made by that logic. So it definitely deserves this spot on the list. It's great.
Philip, you seem to be a clairvoyant because the next spot, number 9, is Salo, which also a lot of people have talked about how this isn't really a horror film, but of course it's a masterpiece, deserves to be on every top list ever, sure, yeah.
One of the favorite movies of Michael Haneke and Andreas Jechtel, and then I think it has to be good if it's on those lists. Also, I thought that the next movie is called Clairvoyance or something like that, but no, it's actually this incredible movie. I love Pasolini. He just makes so many funny movies, and I think Salo is actually an incredibly funny film. I want to have a President for President t-shirt with like the face of the president being fucked in the ass, and then there's like letters that say President for President and the Italian flag and so on.
It's a disgrace that this Italian fuck ranks above Brian De Palma, which isn't an Italian name, and of course, and I'm glad that he got killed by fascists.
Okay,
Not even able to pronounce fascists anymore.
now we have the third and final James Whale film, the original Frankenstein, which I agree that it's better than Bride of Frankenstein. I really like this film.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I know most people do. I still wouldn't put it top 10, but it deserves to be on the list.
The only Frankenstein film I have watched is by Kenneth Branagh.
Okay, now we have next up a film that I haven't seen, Audition, from the year 1999.
I think it's great. Yes, it deserves to be on the list by Takashi Miike. And maybe it's not even my favorite movie of his. I think that it's maybe Ichi the Killer, which is so fucking outrageous. Ichi the Killer is one of the most perverted and insane movies I've ever seen. But I don't want even to get into that. Holy shit. But yet, yes, Audition is incredible.
It's great. It's not even the greatest Japanese horror film ever made. I hope that one also will still appear. How many movies do we
Cure.
have left?
Yes,
Yes,
number 6 is Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero, the film that invented the modern zombie and also pretty much kickstarted the trend of having these super low budget films suddenly become huge blockbusters. I think this film is amazing, deserves to be on this list definitely.
Yes, I agree, and a very interesting political point of view where you can argue if George Romero even intended it to be that way, but then you watch something like Dawn of the Dead and you think, yes, this guy's definitely interested in politics and art, and just a pretty underrated director, honestly.
Okay, next up we have Rosemary's Baby. Again, a Polanski film, which I think is better than Repulsion, so good job. I think this film is absolutely amazing. I love it.
Yes, they should totally make like a sitcom out of it, because I think this is sitcom material. You have like this young woman who is pregnant, who doesn't know anything, who is super naive. Her husband is like a creepy actor who is like lying to her all the time and is selling the baby basically. Not really. Not a spoiler actually, to Satanists who live nearby and they are like this elderly friendly couple. It's perfect sitcom material. It's like the Big Bang Theory just with Satanism instead of physics.
And then we have the biggest thumbs down I could ever give to fucking Jaws by Steven Spielberg. I've talked at length about why I don't think it's nearly as good as some people make it out to be. I think it's a good film, neutrally speaking, but doesn't deserve to be on this list or on anyone's top 10 greatest films list or anything like that. It's an above average film, not much more.
No, on the top 100 it could be, I think.
It's really, really good, but I think there's another Roy Scheider movie we've already addressed, which should take the spot of Jaws in this list. Because Sorcerer, I think, you could classify that as a horror movie, most definitely. Oh, yes.
People driving a truck, that's horrific.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Love
now
is horrific. And life is horrific, and that's kind of what we see in Sorcerer. Like, the hell of living in a piece of shit third world country that a fictional country.
As you
Shit countries, you know, that's a good thing.
sit the hell down, and as you yourself once said famously, hell are other people.
yeah, that's a famous quote by Anton Baumgartner. And now we come to
No, by Sartre.
yeah, that's the
Oh,
joke.
yeah, which is a quote in the future by me.
Okay, anyways, we get to top 3 with Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. Absolutely deserved, in my opinion. This film is next to perfect. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I like the remake more just because Viggo Mortensen is in it and makes something like this when he's asked the question like,
Isn't even Julian Moore in the remake?
yeah, Julian Moore is his, she is like the girl, I don't know, but I don't know, man. She's the sister. Julian Moore is in that movie. I think the remake is fun. I think the original is also fun.
Now we have, since you always want to talk about William Friedkin, of course, The Exorcist, which I think is a fantastic film, definitely deserves to be on there. Not sure about number 2, but it's great, of course.
He should have cut out the ending when she starts to fly around and all of that.
Isn't that only in,
That's
the
just-
director's cut? Or in the, not even director's cut, but author's cut of William Peter Blatty? And also, I've only seen The Exorcist once, but The Exorcist 3 with, what's his name, George C. Scott, it's better. And it's really great. It's like 7 made for... why isn't 7 on this list? It's like 7 made for people over the age of 50. And I think that alone should makes it worth to be on this list.
Yeah, that's totally a good. I understand what that means. It's like 7 for people over 50, of course.
Yes.
And now I think he should have cut out the entire last 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, and then it would be better. The Exorcist, the original one, but it's still great.
Okay, you said 7 isn't on this list. Do you? We only have 1 spot left. Do you want to give a guess what the...
No, we don't.
Yes, I know even what the final film is. Yes, and I haven't seen it, so...
It's one that people...
Well, I could have said you that.
This...
Told you.
I... okay.
Fuck.
I honestly think that it's...
Thing is over now.
that it's an absolute scandal that this was actually a controversial pick. Like, people were actually pissed that this was number 1, and I can't understand it because it arguably is the greatest horror film ever made.
Racist against rednecks.
Yes, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, which I think is straight up one of the best films ever made, and I can't for the life of me understand why people would say that it does deserve to be number 1, because it absolutely does.
Maybe some other missed films that we need to address, like, I don't know, we said The Exorcist 3, Sorcerer, 7, Cure by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, which is the better Kurosawa of the 2, right? And
I like Yoshi as much as anybody, but we have already talked about it. We are finished here. I also love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That it's done. End this video now.
Kill List by Ben Wheatley also